Everything you think about yourself might be wrong. Not slightly wrong, completely wrong. There is a hidden truth that most believers never truly understand, and because of that they keep living a life that does not match what was already given to them. Many people believe in Christ, they pray, they read, they try to live right, yet deep inside they still feel the same. The same guilt returns, the same weakness shows up, the same struggle repeats. It feels like nothing has really changed. And here is the shocking part. The problem is not your effort, not your discipline, not even your sincerity. The real problem is identity. Most Christians are still living like their old self because they don't know who they became. This is not a small misunderstanding. This is one of the biggest missing revelations, and it silently controls how people think, how they act, and how they see themselves every single day. There is a truth hidden in plain sight that has been written, taught, and spoken about for generations, yet many still miss its depth. It is possible to believe in Christ but still identify with the person you used to be. That is why someone can be saved, yet still feel unworthy, forgiven, yet still feel condemned, loved, yet still feel rejected. This creates a silent conflict inside. On one side there is faith, on the other side there is a mindset that never changed. And when identity does not change, behavior struggles to change. People try harder, push more, and blame themselves when they fail, without realizing they are fighting from the wrong place. This is where the real issue begins, because when a person does not know who they are, they will always fall back into what they think they are. There is a powerful revelation that changes everything, and it is not about doing more, trying more, or becoming better slowly over time. It is about understanding what already happened. Something took place the moment a person came into Christ, something deeper than most realize. It was not just forgiveness. It was not just a second chance. It was a complete transformation at the core of identity, not a surface change, not behavior management, a total shift in who you are. Yet this truth is often overlooked, and when it is ignored, people continue living as if nothing changed. They speak like their old self, think like their old self, and react like their old self, even though that old self is no longer who they are. There is a reason why some people experience real freedom, while others stay stuck in cycles. It is not because one tries harder than the other. It is because one understands identity and the other does not. When identity is clear, everything begins to align. Thoughts begin to change. Actions begin to shift naturally. Confidence grows, not from effort, but from understanding. But when identity is unclear, everything feels like a struggle. Even simple things feel heavy. The mind becomes a battlefield, and the person feels like they are constantly trying to reach something that already belongs to them. This video is going to uncover that hidden truth, not in a complicated way, not with difficult words, but in a clear and simple way that goes straight to the core. You are going to learn what really happened when you came into Christ. You will understand why so many people feel stuck even after believing. You will see the difference between living from identity and chasing identity. And most importantly, you will discover who you are now, not who you were, not who you are trying to be, but who you already became. This is not just information. This is a shift in perspective that can change how you see yourself from this moment forward. There are details that are often skipped, truths that are rarely explained deeply, and connections that many never notice. When these pieces come together, everything starts to make sense. The confusion begins to fade, the struggle begins to lose its power, and a new clarity starts to form. This is why it is important to stay until the end, because each part builds on the next. Missing one part can leave gaps, but seeing the full picture can unlock something powerful. What you are about to hear is not just another message. It is a revelation that has the power to reshape your thinking and bring a level of freedom that many are searching for but rarely find. So stay with this, pay close attention, and allow yourself to see beyond what you have always believed about yourself. Because once you truly understand who you are, everything else begins to change without force, without pressure, and without confusion. If you are ready to see this truth clearly and step into a deeper understanding of your identity, then you are in the right place. Welcome to the channel. And if you want more content that brings clarity, truth, and transformation like this, make sure to subscribe and stay connected. There is a quiet frustration that many believers carry but rarely talk about openly. On the outside, everything seems right. They believe in Christ. They try to live a good life. They avoid what they know is wrong. They pray when they can. They listen, they learn, they grow in knowledge. But deep inside, something feels off. There is a constant sense of guilt that does not fully go away. Even after asking for forgiveness, the feeling lingers. It comes back in moments of silence. It shows up in thoughts that say you are still not enough. Along with guilt comes a feeling of weakness, a sense that no matter how much effort is put in, there is always a limit that cannot be crossed, a pattern that keeps repeating, a struggle that keeps returning. Then comes the feeling of being unworthy, not always loud, but always present in the background. A quiet voice that whispers that maybe you are not like others, maybe you are not strong enough, maybe something is missing in you. And then there is the sense of being controlled by sin, not completely, but enough to create doubt, enough to make you question if real change has actually happened. This creates a cycle where belief exists, but confidence does not. Faith is there, but identity is unclear. The person believes in Christ, but still sees themselves through the lens of their past. They remember who they used to be more than they understand who they have become. And because of that, they continue to live from that old image. It is not because they want to. It is because they do not know anything different. They are saved but not transformed in their thinking. Their status has changed, but their mindset has not. And when the mind stays the same, the life begins to reflect that same old pattern again and again. This leads to a deeper question that many never stop to ask. What if the real issue is not behavior at all? What if all the effort to fix actions is only dealing with the surface? What if the root is something deeper? What if the way you see yourself is the actual problem? What if the struggle is not because you are not trying hard enough, but because you are trying from the wrong identity? What if everything you believe about yourself is still connected to who you used to be instead of who you are now? And what if that one misunderstanding is shaping every decision, every reaction, every feeling that follows? This question changes the direction completely, because if identity is the issue, then behavior is only the result. And trying to fix the result without changing the root will always lead to frustration. This is where a powerful truth begins to unfold. A truth that many have heard about but never fully understood. It is the idea of identification in Christ, not just a belief system, not just a teaching, a reality, a shift that goes deeper than actions and habits. It means becoming one with Christ in a way that is not physical, but spiritual and real. It is not about following Him from a distance. It is about being united with Him completely. His life becomes your life. His position becomes your position. His identity becomes your identity. This is not symbolic. It is actual. And when this is understood, everything about how you live begins to change. At the moment of salvation, something took place that goes far beyond what most people realize. It was not only a moment of forgiveness. It was not only a fresh start. It was a complete transformation of identity. The first part of this is something that sounds simple, but carries deep meaning. You died with Christ, not physically, but spiritually. The person you used to be, the identity you carried, the nature that defined you, it was brought to an end, not improved, not slowly changed, ended. This is difficult to accept because it does not match what is felt on the surface. But truth is not based on feeling. The old self is not being fixed, it has been replaced. This leads to the second part. You were raised with Christ. A new life began at that moment, not a repaired version of the old life, but a completely new one. A new nature, a new foundation, a new starting point. This is not behavior modification, it is identity transformation. Then comes the third part, which connects everything together. You are now one with Him, not separate, not trying to reach Him, united with Him. His identity becomes your identity. What is true about Him becomes true about you in terms of position and identity. This is where the shift becomes powerful, because it moves the focus away from self-effort and places it on understanding what is already true. When this begins to settle in, a clear contrast starts to form between the old identity and the new one. The old identity was shaped by failure, by weakness, by a constant sense of falling short. It was defined by being a sinner, by feeling condemned, by always trying to do better but never feeling like it was enough. That identity created fear, hesitation, and doubt. But the new identity is completely different. It is not based on performance. It is based on what has already been done. Instead of being a sinner, there is a new identity of righteousness. Instead of being weak, there is a sense of being empowered. Instead of feeling condemned, there is a deep understanding of acceptance. This is not about pretending, it is about aligning with truth. And the key shift is this: you do not fight for identity anymore. You live from it. You do not try to become accepted. You act from a place of already being accepted. You do not struggle to be strong. You begin to live from a place where strength is already part of who you are. This changes the entire approach to life, because the foundation is no longer effort, it is identity. Yet many people miss this completely, not because it is hidden, but because the focus is placed somewhere else. Most teachings, most systems, most approaches emphasize rules, behavior, and effort. The message becomes about doing more, trying harder, staying consistent, improving step by step. While these things may have value, they are not the foundation. When identity is ignored, everything becomes centered around performance, and performance always leads to pressure. It creates a cycle where a person feels good when they do well and feels low when they fail. This unstable pattern keeps them stuck. The deeper truth, which is identity and union with Christ, is often not fully explained or understood, so people continue trying to act right instead of first believing right. They focus on changing actions without renewing their understanding of who they are. And without that renewal, the same struggles continue to appear in different forms. When identity becomes clear, something shifts in a very natural way. The approach to daily life begins to change without force. Instead of saying, "I am trying to stop this behavior," there is a new response that comes from understanding. This is not who I am anymore. That one shift removes pressure and replaces it with clarity. Actions begin to follow identity instead of fighting against it. Confidence starts to grow, not because everything is perfect, but because the foundation is secure. The struggle begins to lose its intensity because the person is no longer identifying with it. Freedom starts to feel natural, not forced. It does not mean there are no challenges, but the way those challenges are faced becomes completely different. There is less confusion, less internal conflict, and more clarity in decisions. This is the practical effect of understanding identity. It moves life from a place of constant effort to a place of steady alignment. And then comes the moment where everything becomes personal, not as an idea, not as information, but as a reality that speaks directly to you. You are not in a process of becoming new. You already are new. This is not something that will happen in the future. It has already happened. The question is not when it will take place. The question is whether it is understood and believed. Because everything changes when this becomes clear. The way you see yourself changes. The way you respond to situations changes. The way you handle struggle changes. It all begins with identity, and once that identity is understood, it becomes the starting point for everything else. Everything changes when you finally see yourself the way God sees you. You are not who you used to be, and you are not trying to become something new. You already are. The moment this truth becomes real to you, your thinking shifts, your confidence grows, and your life begins to reflect a completely different reality. So take a moment and reflect on this. Stop looking at yourself through your past and start seeing yourself through this new identity. Because when you truly know who you are, everything else begins to fall into place. If this opened your eyes in any way, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful truths like this. Stay connected, because this is just the beginning.